Still remember that. But I just want to really, I appreciate it. These are hardworking, beautiful Americans, and it's something special. But outside, we have thousands and thousands of people. Would anybody love to give up their seat? So we were going to have a thing outside someplace in an area where we could have held the people. And I would say, what do you think, 40, 50,000 people at least out there. This went almost all the way to the airport. And looked like when Lindbergh landed in New York. You remember that? He had all the way, the Broadway, the way they used to do it. And this looked like it. But thousands and thousands of people. And they all could have had a lot of fun. Instead, now they're probably leaving and walking back home because we have a nice little room that probably holds 1,500, 2,000, maybe less. And outside, you have 40, 50,000 people because the administration couldn't give us the Secret Service necessary because they're guarding the Iranian president who's looking to kill Trump. Can you believe it? Now, we could add 30,000 for it. I mean, you see it. It's unusual that you see something like that. Yeah, we'll call in the National Guard. That's a very good. He's a smart guy. Stand up. I want to see what that guy. Very smart. That's a very good idea. They could have done that, come to think. But you know, I think it's a disgrace. I think it's a disgrace. But nonetheless, 38 days from now, we are going to win Wisconsin. We're going to defeat Kamala Harris. And we are going to make America great again. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you, fellas. That's great. Great job. They're making your jobs much tougher, right? Your jobs, oh, that's nice people looking. Oh, look at the people behind. Are they relatives of yours, Chief? I don't think so. Oh, that's nice. Wonderful. Well, you got a lot of killers in our country. You saw that yesterday. Last night, after 4 straight years of obliterating our border, I watched this show that she put on. 4 years of the most incompetent border anywhere in the world in history. Kamala Harris traveled to the scene. In fact, she stood near where I put up border wall. That was her backdrop. And in one of the most heinous crimes ever committed by any administration in American history, that's what she did by allowing these millions of people, millions and millions of people, to come through our border and make our civilization very unsafe. It's a civilization, very, very unsafe. It's a heritage. Border czar Harris went to the border to lie in the most shameless and horrible way possible at the very site where she released so much suffering, misery, and death. There's no greater act of disloyalty than to extinguish the sovereignty of your own nation right through your border. No matter what lies she tells, Kamala Harris can never be forgiven for her erasing our border, and she must never be allowed to become president of the United States. She must never be allowed. And Wisconsin, you can't do it. Can't do it. What she's done is a total disqualifier. What she's done, and so much death has already taken place. And we have some people up here, and a friend of mine in particular who suffered greatly because of it. And this has already taken place by the hundreds, but it's going to take place by the tens of thousands, according to explosive data that was just released yesterday by ICE. And they've never released this before. They never talk about deaths and how many they talk about certain things, but they've never released this kind of information. But it was so bad, never done, but under Kamala Harris, more than 13,099 convicted murderers. So these are people that have gone through the system. They're convicted. They're in jails for life. Some are getting the death sentence. But instead of that, they've crossed our border. They've been taken out by their countries and set free into the United States of America. So they're free to kill again. Oh, they'll kill. These are killers. These are killers that at a level that nobody's ever seen, not even your great law enforcement has ever seen people like this. They got a dose of it, though, recently. They got a dose of it. Their jobs have become a lot tougher. And you remember when they say, no, these are migrants, and these migrants, they don't commit crimes like us. No, they make our criminals look like babies. These are stone-cold killers. They'll walk into your kitchen, they'll cut your throat. Kamala also let in 25,272 illegals convicted for rape, sex offenses, or sexual assault. 62,231 criminal aliens convicted of violent assault. Everything but death happened to the people they assaulted. In total, she let in 425,431 people convicted of, and these are convicted of the worst crimes. They're criminal aliens, along with an additional 222,000 illegals with pending criminal charges. Many of those charges also are murder, which will add on to your 13,000 murderers that were let into the country. That's over 647,572 migrant criminals who Kamala sent loose to rape, pillage, thieve, plunder, and kill the people of the United States of America. And they're not going to change. They're only going to get worse. They're only going to get worse. And our law enforcement system, we have the greatest in the world, but our people are told not to do their jobs. No, we don't want you to do anything. And they come from tough systems. They're going to love our system. Kamala is mentally impaired. If a Republican did what she did, if a Republican did what she did, that Republican would be impeached and removed from office, and rightfully so, for high crimes and misdemeanors. That would be high crimes and misdemeanors. Think of it. 13,099 murderers, convicted of murder, not like convicted of murder. Some of the worst murders you've ever seen. They're all in our country now, every one of them. And I've been saying this for 3 years, and the fake news has been saying, well, you don't know that. Well, now we know it. They've never released a list like this. Not just on this, they've never done it. Over the years, they've never done it. She let in, and that's not even mentioning the rapists, the gang members, the drug dealers, the child predators, and the traffickers in women, mostly women. Joe Biden became mentally impaired. Kamala was born that way. She was born that way. And if you think about it, only a mentally disabled person could have allowed this to happen to our country. Anybody would know this. And before I knew the numbers, I was saying it for a long time. They're coming in, they're murderers. I said it so much. They're from jails. I say jails and prisons, there's a difference. One's a little stronger than the other, as you understand. They come from mental institutions and insane asylums. How many times have you heard? There's also a difference there. One's a little bit stronger than the others. And they're terrorists. They're terrorists. They're terrorists at the highest level. We have some of the greatest terrorists in the world in our country right now. We have no idea where they are. We have no idea anything about them. They could be in Iowa. They could be in Idaho. They could be here. Because every border is right now running around every state. Every state is a border town. Every state is a border state. They're flying them in by the hundreds of thousands. Can you believe it? Even yesterday when she was talking about how she's going to start getting very tough. Why didn't she do this 4 years ago? And she lies so much. She lies so much. How about she lies? She said, Donald Trump ripped the babies out of the crib. I ripped the babies out of a crib. No. And it was actually President Obama that built the cages. Remember when they were saying, Donald Trump, and they show a picture of cages, and then I was lucky enough, somebody from Border Patrol said, no, that was in 2014. That was Obama. And then that story went away very rapidly, remember? All of a sudden, the cage story went away when it wasn't me. Now she lies. Well, look, I mean, the simplest lie is that she worked at McDonald's, and she never worked at McDonald's. She worked at McDonald's, and I didn't work there. She didn't work there. But I'm going to go to a McDonald's, I think, over the next 2 weeks. And I'm going to stand over the French fries. She said, I stood over those French fries. She never did. It turned out to be a lie. And when I mention that, they go, oh, he's fallen into a trap because he's, you ever see that? Whenever I criticize, they say, all the stupid people, the anchors back there. No, they say, he fell into a trap, her trap. She can't set a mental trap. There is no, but if she says something wrong, like in the debate, she said something wrong, I question it. She said another thing wrong, I made her look bad. She said another thing. They don't want me to ever question. They said, oh, he fell into a trap. He questioned the fact on Charlottesville, which was totally debunked, on all of these stories that were totally debunked, fake stories, he mentions it. But yesterday, this is one I never heard, that I ripped the baby out of the cribs. No, that might have been Obama and other people, but it wasn't us. We had the safest border in the history of our country, and even a sign that I put down, fortunately. I put that sign down, and I love that sign. I love the graph. You know the graph? Like beautiful blue, gold, and red graph. It's my favorite piece of paper, perhaps anywhere in the world. But she's so radical, she even wants to legalize fentanyl right away. Fentanyl will kill you just a little tiny on the top of a pin and you're dead. I have so many friends that have lost their children to fentanyl. You know, we're going to do something else. We're going to get China that if they send us any fentanyl, I had this deal done with him, but Biden never got it finished. Do you think he lies awake at night thinking about fentanyl and death? No, I had the deal done, and then we had a bad election. We got more votes than anybody that ever ran for office. Think of it, more votes than any sitting president in the history of our country. We lost by just a little bit. Just a little bit. I was told if I got 63 million votes, which is what we got in 2016, we got millions, millions, and millions more votes, more than anybody's ever gotten, more votes than any sitting president has ever gotten, and just by a little bit. No, we got to make sure there's no cheating, and we're working hard on that. We got more lawyers, we got more people watching, and I told them, if we win and when we win, we're going to prosecute people that cheat on this election. And if we can, we'll go back to the last one too, if we're allowed. But we're going to prosecute people, so at least they know that's going to happen. And I said that because we have to have strong borders. You need two things, strong borders and fair elections. And we have neither, but we're going to do numbers, too big to rig, right? Too big to rig. And, there comes a point when they can't cheat. And when you see the lines going back, like even today, the lines going back for miles to get in. And this, a lovely building, I don't want to insult anybody, it's a lovely building. But if this building were 20 times larger, it wouldn't be big enough. And why should they do that to all the people that journeyed from all over your great state? When I saw these migrant crime numbers yesterday, first time they'd ever been released. They don't release numbers on murders, but they did. Somebody probably liked me. They said, boy, this is unfair. But they released them. I said, this is the real deal. This is something that's very special. There's nothing as serious as this. Nothing can be as serious as this. Because this gets down to the very fabric of our society, your way of life. I mean, you're going to be looking around over your shoulder all the time. Communities that were safe. This is more important in a way than inflation, which is a disaster in this country. She's destroyed our middle class, our senior citizens. This is more important than anything having to do with the economy, we'll make it better. We'll make the economy. This is something bigger in a sense, because this is the fabric of our country. She's letting in people who are going to walk into your house, break into your door, and they'll do anything they want. They'll do anything they want. These people are animals. She's released people. These people are animals. Now they'll say, oh, that's a terrible thing for him to say. No, no. These people are animals. These are stone cold killers. They're heartless, and they wake up the next morning and they don't even think about what they did the day before. These are real killers. These are real killers. These are the worst. These are people that have been in jail for many years. These are people that killed many people. They took them out of their jails. You know, in Venezuela, their jails are almost empty. All over the world. You know, this isn't just South America. The Congo, their jails are almost empty. The Congo in Africa, they took them out. They bring them into our country. Many, many countries, their jails are almost empty. Some are empty. Some are much less than that. I would do it the same thing. I would have been better than any of them. I would have had everybody out of there. Some of them still have people. They probably couldn't get buses to get them in, right? You know, you need a lot of buses, but they're bringing them into our country at levels never seen before. And your law enforcement over here had, you know, you just had a problem here in this beautiful place we'll talk about. But what they're doing to us, and I saw that. It's also the fact that they're taking all of our black population's jobs and our Hispanic population's jobs. You haven't seen the real job numbers yet. And I said this also 2 years ago. I said, these people that are coming across the border illegally by the millions are taking the jobs of the black population of America and the Hispanic population of America. Have you seen their job numbers recently? They won't release them, I guarantee, until after the election. But you take a look at the black population job numbers, you take a look at the Hispanic population job numbers, and the unions are going to be next. The unions are going to get hit hard by this. They come in illegally, they take everybody's jobs, and you don't know who you're hiring. Our country is being destroyed. This is the worst president and the worst vice president in history. And you got to get out and vote. Isn't this a wonderful and inspiring speech? I got people sitting in the front row, they're going, oh my God. They thought they'd be out there jumping up and down, make America great again. We're going to do that, don't worry. We haven't gotten to that part yet. I'm just saying, this is a dark speech, but we only heard the numbers yesterday for the first time. You know, I took a lot of abuse because they're saying, what does he mean? How dare he say that? Everyone thinks, oh, it's such beautiful people. Everyone's so wonderful coming in. No, no. Stone cold killers, drug dealers, gang members. Every country in the world is taking their worst people, the criminals that are outside of jail, the gangs that hurt people, the drug dealers, which are causing such problems, that get death penalties in a lot of countries, and they don't have the problem with drugs. But they're taking their worst people, they're bringing them into our country by the tens of thousands. And yesterday, for the first time, I saw the numbers. It was reconfirmed. Some of the honest fake news, look at all the fake news back there. But, oh, some of them turn the cameras off when I'm talking about this. No, they turn the cameras. For whatever reason, they don't want people to hear this, you know. Now, we're gonna make them honest. If we don't have an honest press, that's your third leg, by the way. You need an honest press, and we have a very dishonest press. Mostly, I mean, I know some, you know, there's a little sliver that's good. But it's, you're right side's good. He said right side. It's true, right side. Now you have some good people back there. But it's true. You have some very good people, but you have mostly horror shows. But small towns in America are terrified of migrants coming in. And even when they haven't yet arrived, they're terrified. They're terrified. And a lot of these people don't want to talk about it because they think it's so bad for the town, but they're going to have to talk because people are being killed. I spoke to people from Iowa, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. They're beside themselves. And honestly, I tell you, they're not going to take it much longer. And I guess the easiest way and the best way is on November 5th, you got to vote for Trump because we're not going to let it happen. We're not going to let it happen. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I love that young voice. Stand up, young voice. What a beautiful person you are. Wow. Thank you very much. We love young people. One of those little things, right? They're so great. That's the future. That's who we're really fighting for when you get right down. That's who, right? We're really fighting for that voice right there. We're fighting. Because we want them to grow up in insanity. This is insanity, what's happening in our country. Who would do what they're doing? Who would do this? Who would allow 435,000 criminals, hardened criminals, 13,000, think of it, murderers, people that murdered people viciously. Some people murdered many people, and they're now in our country. They're not going to change. They're going to get worse, actually. So we're here today in Prairie du Chien. Got a good pronunciation? You could have given me a little easier name than that, but I think we got it right.
Got it. Nailed it.
Prairie du Chien, what a beautiful name. And we have to keep it beautiful. And you have great law enforcement here, but they're going through a lot. And we're in Wisconsin, and every person here knows exactly what I'm saying. Just this month, right here in this beautiful town, police arrested an illegal alien member of a savage Venezuelan prison gang known as Tren de Aragua. Tren de Aragua. These are really bad ones. This vile monster was charged with holding a mother and daughter captive against their will and sexually assaulting them again and again and again. This animal crossed Kamala's wide open border, along with hundreds of thousands of others that are worse than him, He was arrested and released in the sanctuary city of Minneapolis. And by the way, I'm going to end all sanctuary cities immediately upon taking over. Right? Thank you. All of them are ending. And you know, the people of these states with big sanctuary cities, these people are, they want them out. It's only the politicians that want them. Someday we'll explain why. But he assaulted another woman in the sanctuary jurisdiction of Dane County, and he had outstanding warrants for strangulation, all before coming to this small, beautiful, idyllic Wisconsin town. A few months ago in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. There's a lot of action going on in Wisconsin with this thing. You know, usually I have like Clark County. An illegal alien released by Kamala Harris was arrested for tying up and blindfolding a 12-year-old girl in the back of a van and viciously sexually assaulting her. A few weeks ago, yet another illegal alien Kamala let in was charged for sexually assaulting a woman in her home in Wausau, Wisconsin. How do you like that? Wausau. Is that right? Wausau. I like Wausau. No, but think of this. Sexually assaulting, and what he did to her was so horrific that he's now facing up to 100 years in prison. 100 years. These are towns that had these are towns and little beautiful areas of our planet that had no problems. Oh, you're gonna have a lot of problems. I don't care how good your law enforcement is, you're gonna have a lot of problems. They're all over the place. And I'm telling you what I said before. These towns, these little towns and cities, and by the way, the big cities too. New York, look what's happened in New York. And they went after the mayor of New York because he was saying, we can't do this, we can't do that. They just indicted him for long before he was mayor. But look at what they do. These are vicious monsters in our government that are also stupid people. They're vicious, but they're stupid, which is a very dangerous combination. Today I stand before you to make this promise. I will liberate Wisconsin from this mass migrant invasion of murderers, rapists, hoodlums, drug dealers, thugs, and vicious gang members. We are going to liberate our country. I will liberate our nation. Our nation will be free again if we